if I look archetypally at human nature, just look at the nature of nature. We are living at such a time of transition. Such a time of transition. Here, we're living, this is the world that's really fading. And this is the world we're going into. And we're here in the middle. We're witnessing a dismantle of what you might think of as the horizontal world and the immersion of the vertical, where all things happen simultaneously. And this is a world where this is Chronos time, where we think here events follow one after another. But in this world, it's the world of the internet. It's the world of simultaneity. It's where all things happen simultaneously. So in this world, it's like what we are experiencing in this world is the shifting of zones from Chronos to Kairos. Kairos is mystical time. Once upon a time, where all things happen simultaneously, the time of synchronicity. So imagine here's my arm of Chronos, and this is Kairos. And what we are now experiencing in a million ways every day are events that fall somewhere on this spectrum of in travel, for example, by airplane, still occurs in Chronos time. So all of us get on a plane and it still takes 9 hours to get here. But travel on inner space will alter the speed at which an illness heals. So your capacity to travel in inner space will change the speed at which your cell tissue travels. So if you could travel at 90% Kairos time, the impact on Chronos tissue would be that an illness would be healed in roughly 3 days. Whereas somebody who is still largely at Chronos speed will have to read the directions on the bottle. It says take for 6 weeks. Okay? To me, faith, what they say miracles. Jesus would always say, or teachers, but that's his specialty. He would say, these and other things you can do. Pay attention to the laws. I'm teaching you laws, he says. Pay attention. If you let go of the things that you're hanging on to, forgive, let go, serve others, do this, you have no Chronos time. You have no baggage. And therefore the light comes right through you. He called it power. He was up in he was with his apostles. He's walking through a crowd. And at some point, some woman who is bleeding, hemorrhaging, says, just let me touch the tip of his gown. Please, just let me touch the hem. I love that part. I love this place. And he says, who touched me? And Peter says, what do you mean? Look at all these people. And I can't stand any of them. And he says, I edit terribly. And he says, I add commentary. But he says, I felt the power go through me. Bam, what a sentence. I felt the power go through me. Something. Right? So what he's saying there is, it's not me. But I am just like charged all the time, all over the place, constantly. And it's impersonal. It has no author. It's just God. It is impersonal, but it's constantly watching, constantly there. And it heard her. It heard her. And it vesseled through me because a direct hit would have killed her. Why did it need me? Because a direct hit of that would have destroyed her, not healed her. I had to wind it down to earth speed at the highest voltage of soul speed for a human soul. And it blew all the all the time right out of her cell tissue and brought it back to health. Do you hear what I just said? Yes. That is so wild, and that's how it works. And what's a miracle? What is a miracle? A miracle is, huh?
The collapsing of time.
Yeah, but it's also, see, even the great teachers, even Jesus, who for me is like the superstar. And Buddha is a big star, but Jesus is the nova, for me. They were subject to the laws because they taught the laws. They weren't transcendent of the laws. They were the great teachers of the law. So everything is about law. Learn the laws. Our bodies, even disease follows laws. But a miracle is when God negotiates a law for you, just for you, just for you. Where the thing they say cannot happen, but it does. You can't see, your eyes are totally broken, but you do see. And a miracle is when, no matter what you do, it can't help, but then something happens. And it does work. Like the man who got his eyesight, he went to the college that I went to. No, he didn't go there. He went to pray there. And Garin was canonized, the 8th saint in the United States. And miracles are happening there, and a man with complete cataract, bad eyes, can't be fixed, nothing. He's got the gray film over his eye kind of thing. And so he goes there and he says this prayer. He says, I don't know if you have any influence up there, but if you do, I'd appreciate some help. End of prayer. Wasn't a Catholic, by the way, incidentally. He is now. Anyway. Anyway, he left. He got up in the morning, 100% his vision. But the cataract gray remains. Completely covers his irises. Gets up, goes to the doctor. Doctor says, you can't see, it's not possible, but I do. They went to Rome, to the Council of Miracles. And it was declared a miracle. He's still 100% his vision. What's a miracle? What can't happen, but it does. Because the laws are negotiated just for you. That's how intimate the universe is. It's how intimate God is. That's how impersonal. Both are true. Totally impersonal. Which means if I break it, I fix it. But it also means that next time a sign might appear that says, will you be careful? So that's how it works. You know, I remember, a couple of Judith and Beth and a few people are talking about swimming here. Of course, it's gorgeous, but I'm terrified of water. Terrified. I do not do well in water. I love to look at it. I go on a little boat is fine. That's fine. But being in water for me. And up where I live, there's a beach, Wilmette Beach in Chicago, and it's beautiful. And that's where we used to go when I was a kid. And I remember being in the water. This is my last memory as a child of being in the water until I went in the water as a 42-year-old. And then the similar thing happened. But I was probably 8 years old, and I was swimming and I got caught up in an undertow. So I was trying to get back to shore, but I can't swim. I never could swim. Swimming never made, like the laws of swimming never made sense to me. My rear end always went down and I was like, this isn't working. Okay, and I would end up dog paddling or something, but it was like the dynamics of it just never worked. Well, the undertow kept pulling me out, and I was trying to scream for my mother, but the water was going in my mouth. And all of a sudden, this woman shows up and an arm goes out like this, and I grabbed onto it. And she just walked, didn't say a thing, walked toward the shore until I could stand on the ground. And then I took a turn I started to run toward my mom because she was gone. She was gone. But the image of her just Where did she go? Where did she go? I mean, she couldn't have been gone. Because this was a wide open Wilmette Beach. It was wide open. She couldn't have been gone. I literally just took 2 steps and turned and she was gone. Now, in my thinking, now as an adult woman who's been in charge of children, and I have not forgotten that story 10,000 times, I have to tell you I've thought about that story. If I were to offer my arm to a kid who was obviously frightened as hell and drowning, I would have made sure she came all the way to the beach. All the way to the beach, on the sand, right? But she didn't. She just got me as far as where it was obvious I was okay, and then she was gone. All right, now, I do believe these divine interventions happen exactly like that. That we have these encounters all the time. That heaven comes in just like that. And just typical of heaven. If I go in the water again, are you going to learn how to swim or not? Now this angel wouldn't say, well, let's go you and I'll take you out for dinner and we'll talk about swim lessons. This isn't how heaven works. But what it did leave in me was this incredible image that of all the other images in my life, for all through 9 years old, 10 years old, I don't have any that I can spot check. None. It's all a vague, I'm sure I was 9 years old, because now I'm not. And I got older, so I must have been 10, you know. But I remember that, and I remember the visceral impact in my heart, and I remember the memory of her is here. It's down here. And I remember she came jam full of lessons, that somehow or other she came full of wisdom, that I got wiser because of that. And it was the wisdom factor that this just wasn't an ordinary, that every part of me was shifted because I touched the arm of this being. And that's how come I know that that was an angel, as I look back. But it also means to be that it's all about the choices. And if I didn't make choices, like I could go swimming again, but I will have a bad time unless I prepare myself. So I said, good, I won't go in the water again. Right, all right, I don't like it anyway. All right, but the point is, choice and consequence is the nature of life.